Okay, let's start. Good evening, everyone. Okay, currently the market is showing some signs of strength. Okay, if we look right now at the S&P 500, after this period of consolidation, it has come up to retest this resistance. This is the S&P 500 futures market, so it's currently moving in a positive manner. All right, if we compare it with last night, what had happened is that right on Monday we have a sell down over here, followed by yesterday's it recovered of equal volume. So this shows that this down move is a little bit negated, but this down move is purely done by the Nasdaq, the so-called tech companies like your Amazon, Facebook, Google, such technology companies. So yesterday, on Monday night, Nasdaq had a big sell down. Right, it's down 2+%. This whole move is like 3+%. So yesterday it gapped down a little, but it recovered late night. Mainly because of one news. Some of the protectionist policy done by Donald Trump, the US, and on top of that, they make it an official that they are withdrawing their trade status with Hong Kong, in a way to threaten China. So despite US being strong, what we see here in the Hang Seng is like there's a lot of red bars. All right, there's a lot of selling happening due to the news, so it seems weak at the moment. On a short-term basis, if we look at China, China also had a sell down due to the news also. But this is expected because this is a very strong run. So this pullback is an expected move. Okay, so if we look at Singapore index, all right, the Singapore index right now at the moment, despite election over and giving PAP a strong, so-called strong results, it seems that the whole market is still quite muted at the moment. All right, probably also because of our proximity with Hong Kong. Okay, and one more thing is that Hong Kong is they also had a news with regards to China going to do a high tax on their Chinese nationals working in Hong Kong. They are raising the tax rate for them from 15% to 45%. Okay, so that's the reason why there are some of this negative move done in Hong Kong and China. Okay, so for today, what I'll be doing is a little bit different. Try to scrape away the investors and traders portion. So I just go straight into stocks that I think probably we can trade or invest. Okay, so let's start with this review of what happened to MedTech. Okay, so I've talked about MedTech somewhere around here and here during these 2 weeks of video. Okay, and thereafter when it starts to make such a euphoric move, I say better don't we can't change the stocks anymore. All right, so what happens is that it continue to make subsequent highs. These are gaps, run away, and finally on Monday it did this big crash. There's a lot of selling happening. Okay, and basically there isn't any buyer supporting, so people will just sell at whatever level it is to there is whatever buyer that is available. And you can see that the volume is not particularly high. A reason for that is because most of the holders of such stocks has already left or sold their stakes during this up move, as they sold some and sell in different levels, so as people start to chase stocks, retailers start to chase stocks, this will tend to happen because they are already the so-called smart money is already out of the stocks. Now when such things happen, usually it affects the whole sector. So if we look at some of the other stocks like that had a strong move, this is UG Healthcare. You also have this kind of selling happening. Look at Riverstone. Riverstone is much bigger cap, but nonetheless it will still be affected. You know, small selling happening, but nonetheless still affected. Okay, and Biolytics is kind of like a SPAC, you know, because after these two move, right, they did a trading halt. Okay, and then therefore there isn't a big selling happening. But what happens is that the selling happen today, you know, when they leave their trading halt. Okay, so when such things happens, usually the whole medical sector will be affected. All right, so but last week I mentioned among all the medical stocks, there's only two that we can look at to trade. So let's look at this is one. This is Top Glove. So last week I mentioned is 7 July over here. Okay, that there is a possibility that this one will run, you know, after it rests for a few days. So unfortunately only rest one day and it started to run for 2 days. Okay, so it's the same thing as like Riverstone. There's some selling happen thereafter, you know, together with the whole medical sector. Okay, so this is one stock that had run from last week. And the other one I mentioned that there are some insider trades happening. Okay, and I did a correction in my video last week in the actual meeting. I mentioned that insider buying. Okay, but in actual fact, it was actually the director that is selling his stakes. Okay, some of the big move here. The director sold here, sold here, sold here. Okay, so and then this thing happened. All right, yesterday. Okay, and then thereafter, after it gaps up, this is a very strong move, and therefore, as we know, this is a lesson that we need to learn that when the whole medical sector is affected by some selling, it affects the whole sector. So when you have such a so-called profit big move, you know, it happens, then it's time to take profit and get out. All right, get out or take partial profits or something. So the explanation for this move, right, for Hyphen Pharma is that they had some news, you know, their so-called patent was granted in the UK, you know, and that's the news. So it sounds fishy lah, why the director has sold his stakes before this news happened. It can't be something that he doesn't know beforehand. Okay, so some deal or some fishy deal is happening behind the scene lah, from what I see from this. Okay, so this is hyphen pharma. So at this moment, with this move down, this sell down happening, we can't really trade this stock really. We have to let it rest for at least 2 to 3 weeks, you know, and then we see how it turns out. IPS Securex. Okay, this is a stocks that I last week I already mentioned that I sold half of my position here at 119. You know, not really at the top, but somewhere here near the top. Okay, and because of this selling happening, it happened on Monday, and on Tuesday I just sold the rest of all my shares somewhere at about 102 103. Okay, so I'm out of this stock already with some profit entered from here at 84. Okay, so this is how I trade the stock. So at this moment, this is a penny stocks. I probably a result coming out soon. We'll see how it turns out thereafter. Previously, I've mentioned quite a few times Yang Zhejiang. So Yang Zhejiang is something that this is a stock that we need to watch out. Okay, there's a consolidation pattern happening, and it's getting tighter. It's getting squeezier, which means to say I'll give it another 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks when it starts to be trading around this area when it's very tight. It might break out on either side. Okay, so this one we just have to be for those who hold these stocks or intend to get into these stocks, we just have to be mindful what is going to happen soon because it's once you enter into this silent period, quiet period, you can break on either side. Last week mentioned about property stocks being having still consolidating around the support area. So this is city development. Basically, it bounced off today. It bounced off its support region. About 810 to 820. This is the support region. Okay, so the results is coming out soon. Okay, so people are just trying to place their bets. They are based on the results, going to be good or bad. Um, High chance it's going to be bad. All right, therefore the previously this drop happening in anticipation of that. And we also know that Singapore has already declared technical recession, with GDP shrinking by about 12%. Okay, so we just have to wait for the confirmed results, confirm numbers, and we start to see how the whole stock market happens. So we know in STI it's going to be very muted, and it's hard to say whether this is going to be the end. Will the technical recession ends with just this quarter, or will carry on the next quarter? So as of this moment, it's like we look at the tourism. Tourism is still down. It's restricted movement or restricted traveling. Local businesses, I would say, is up. Okay, except for eateries, pubs, and especially the entertainment industry is not really back up. But rest of the retails, I would say, um, they are back to like 70 to 80% pre-COVID times. Okay, so we can look at more in the commercial and retail space, or even property to see this kind of economic growth. Okay, for those who do shorting, you can look at this Thai Beth is doing this kind of like pattern over here. This out. Okay, so it's trading this past few days. The down move volume is quite high. So this is the support areas, about 67 cents, 67 to 68 cents. So once it breaks through this support, right, you can look to short this stock. Okay, and possible price target is like 63 cents, or even the low here of 50 cents. Okay, this stock didn't wait for us in this meeting. Okay, this is iFast. They deal in financial services, brokerage services like your fund supermart. Um, so previously was doing this consolidation, quite nice pattern, and it starts to squeeze, right, and then today it just broke off in a big move. Looking at the history, likely may have one more day. It tends to have 1 day, 2 day, 1 day, 2 day. So it has this history of doing a 2 day move, or it may gap up the next day and then trade down. So if that happens, really, then don't really look at trading the stock. So just have to rest and wait for the next move. Okay, so I bring this up is to show you guys how to be patient to wait for um, big move. All right, so usually when we start to see a big move that happen, we want to see the rest. So this rest tends to happen like between it can range from between 1 to 3 weeks. So when this thing happens, this is where we will. Okay, so when this happens, right, this is when we will want to trade somewhere in this area, get into position when it's very silent, low volume happening somewhere here. Okay, so this is just I put this up as a learning point. Now, last week I mentioned that the earning seasons is coming. July, some companies already is going to report so-called end of year results. So I've mentioned about dividend trading. So I'd just like to cover how do we do dividend trading. First up, what we can do is we need to learn how to um, look for resources. So what we can check on is we can Google dividend calendar SG. Okay, then we will come up to this sginvestor.io. So this one gives you a calendar view of what is going to, what kind of the dates, X date, which stocks are going to X date on which, and how much dividend they are giving. So here we have a whole list. So for the next few days, I will tend to skip it. All right. So what I would like to focus on is we like to see what is going to happen here, thereafter, probably next week. So we want to see some things like the dividend is high, compared to their price. Like if you see like yen lot possible 6.8 cents, 7 cents. So you can just take a look how is yen lot doing. So as a reminder, for past few videos, like this video I already mentioned about yen lot over here. So this has already done a nice move. It's a positive sign. 6.8 cents is quite high for this. So what we'd like to see is that this is yen lot, right? 21st July X date, which means the last date is the 20th July, which is Monday. Okay, so there is a possibility that the next 2 days, right? Next 2 days might run. People might buy and then sell the next day before or even sell on Monday. So the next three trading days, right? Thursday, Friday, and a Monday, is when the movement might happen. This is about 6.8 cents. Okay, so other than that, we also have to consider if is this move considered part of the dividend run. If I'm looking at this, right, being part of dividend run, so the next move here, right, might not hit 6 cents. It might hit probably like 3 cents, 4 cents. Okay, so the potential of this, right, is not great. All right. So we just have to look at, like, for example, previously I talked about Capital Land. What happens for Capital Land is that previously it was trading down here at the support. Yes, its dividend coming, and this move happened, just for a few days before it actually. Okay, so this is the move where we want to capture, okay, and then sell before the X dividend happen. So some of the stocks that like in this date that we see, Singtel is happening. Okay, over here Singtel, 5 cents, X date August the 4th. So at this moment it's being quiet. There's a gap up, there's volume coming in. This is a positive sign. So there might be a probably 6 to 7 move happening, 6 to 7 cents happening, because they are giving 5 cents dividend, right? Most likely the move tends to move between 6 to 8 or even 10 cents, if it's positive. So previously there isn't any run happening, unlike Yen lot had a run. Singtel doesn't, so there is a possibility of a run, before it XD. And considering it's August the 8th, so just about there's a 2 weeks period. Okay, so this is Singtel. ST Engineering, I saw somewhere here. Another way is what you can do is you can Google ST Engineering dividend. What you can see is under this dividend.sg. And from here you can see that usually gives dividends roughly around August, is X date. So what you can do is you can just go to the SGX website, Google ST Engineering. Okay, Singapore Tech Engineering, and then we try to look for news. What are the news that comes out? That show when that they release their results. So it tends to be before, it tends to move before results release and after result release or AGM. So that's those are usually the time period we want to look at into getting into the stock before they give those announcements or before the X date. Okay, so we can see here that in August, right, ST Engineering tend to give half a cent, less than this 1 cent in April. So the best time to trade this dividend method, right? For this dividend stocks, you trade on the bigger one. Okay, so April will tend to be a better choice to trade for this ST Engineering. Okay, so it tends to have this small little run beforehand. This is the expectation of this earnings. But because this is COVID, it's not that accurate. But if you want, you can look at previous history. What tends to happen? Okay, dividend here in August. So what happens is people are already trading in anticipation. June, July, August results comes out. Okay, not that good. It comes down already. But okay, so and this dividend August one is a smaller dividend. But if we take the bigger dividend, which is the April one, May, April, you can see it tends to have a move beforehand. Okay, this is a smaller one. It tends to have a move beforehand, and people sell before XD. And this is the April one. It tends to move beforehand, say like February, March, April. Stocks price starts to move, and then people, so-called dividend traders or traders, they will sell before XD. Okay, so you can use this history as a way to gauge, is a stock tradable for dividends or not. Okay, before I get into this, so for ST Engineering, okay, so what happens for ST Engineering is that it has been trading quietly. Okay, what caught my eye is this volume, doing this hammer thing and this volume coming in. Okay, which means to say buyers are supporting the price over here, just like this volume here that happened. Buyers are supporting 310 to 320 area, and here 320 to 325 area. And today is up, which means to say the sellers are not there anymore. Okay, and the earnings is coming soon in 2 weeks time. Okay, so this is probably one play you can look at. I hopefully this doesn't bother you. Okay, so this is ST Engineering. Similarly, is giving its dividend half cent. Okay, we can just do a Google SI Engineering dividend. Okay, so you can see here SI Engineering is giving a X-date dividend on the 22nd. All right, so we just have a few more days. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 days, 4 trading days before it XD. Okay, so and it's giving a half a cent. Okay, it's a dividend cut, but it's still half a cent, quite substantial, about 2.5%. So if we look at how SIA Engineering is turning out, basically they're forcing the price down, and somehow it's being held up or held up during at this support area, about 194, 195. Okay, so I'd like to see how in the next few days, if there is a run move of probably 5 cents, 6 cents, take the so-called dividends and get out of the trade. Okay. This is Sasyarite. Sasyarite, though the history is not very long, it tends to have small move before its dividend. Okay, if you look at its history, it tends dividend earnings, the earnings that comes out, and then the dividend, it tends to have this move. Okay. Previously this was quiet. This is dividend. It tends to have this move after its earnings. It gap up and move some more. Okay, so based on history, Sasarit had always had a move before its dividend. Okay, so it's going to announce results soon, and there's some positive move recently. It's trying to break off this 200-day moving average. Okay, and you can also look into trading these stocks on a dividend basis. And last one I'd like to highlight is this is Valuetronics. So if we look at Valuetronics dividend, it's giving a dividend of about 14 cents Hong Kong dollar. All right, over here, you won't see it here. You'll only see it on this SGX website. Okay, so this is a old news. Okay, so this is old news. The result came out on 3rd of June, and that's when they mentioned that they will come out with a 14 cents Hong Kong dollar dividend. The X date is not given. That's why those website will not tell you when they are going to give the dividend and when is the X date. Okay, so the X date and all this, right, is tends to be given after the approval at the AGM. So the main date to look at, right, is to see when the AGM is going to happen. And from here, you can see that they are going to issue the notice of AGM by 30th July, which means to say the next 2 weeks, right, Valuetronics is going to tell you when they're going to have the AGM and the date of the AGM, and from the date of the AGM to the ex-dividend, which means to say the ex-dividend date is roughly in September, okay, by estimate. Okay, so from August to September is a period where you can trade this dividend stocks. You know, so that is for this stock Valuetronics. Okay, and we just have to by then we can review that again. Okay, so I gave an example of how I look for dividend trading stocks to trade on a dividend basis, not to collect their dividend, but to collect the dividend, so-called the movement, the capital gains, right? That is causing this dividend. All right. So which means to say, for example, is the next few days, like Valuetronics is going to give like a 2 cents dividend. It tends to have a 3 cents to 4 cents move, you know, so I just like to capture this 3 to 4 cents move and take my profit and get out, which means to say I already take my dividend from this stock, you know, and then I just look for the next one. So this is how the dividend strategy happens. Okay, and I tend to last time I used to trade Chip Eng Seng, but because Chip Eng Seng, the family sold their company shares to and some China shareholders, I no longer can trade that. Escort Accordia Trust tends to give good dividends also, but because of the COVID, most of the REITs are also giving dividend cuts. So most of the REITs I also cannot trade now. So we can only base on a few big cap companies that are still giving strong dividends to trade on such trading strategy. Okay, so I hope this session will have some value for you.